The sun rose heavy over Blue Hollow, Tennessee. It wasn't gentle light, it was the kind that pressed down, thick and merciless, turning the air to gold and glass. The mountains shimmered behind the haze, and the old asphalt road baked like iron beneath the sky. Frank Dalton had been driving this route longer than most folks had been alive. 40 years in the same truck, the same turns, the same rumble of engine against mountain stone. He knew every mile by heart, but that morning the road showed him something new. He was easing through a tight curve, radio whispering static, when something white burst from the tree line, too small for a deer, too graceful for a dog. It was a flash, blinding, impossible white fire against the blacktop. He slammed the brakes, tires screamed, dust lifted, and then silence. Frank's chest pounded as he stepped out into the heat. The air was still heavy with pine and gasoline. He looked down the road, and there she was, a wild cat but unlike any he had ever seen. Her fur was white as first snow, stained red where the light hit her flank. She wasn't moving. Frank felt his throat close. Then he heard it, the faintest sound, almost lost in the hum of cicadas. A tiny mewing. He knelt, the shadow of his old body falling over hers. Pressed against her belly were three small forms, trembling, blind, their fur pale as milk. They were alive. He whispered, "Oh Lord," and reached for the radio. "This is Frank Dalton, Route 47. I think I hit a bobcat, a white one. She's gone, but there are babies. They're still breathing." 20 minutes later, a white van came screaming up the road. Its lights flashed weakly in the noon glare. Out stepped Riley Morgan, rescue officer for the Southern Wildlife Haven. Frank stood guard like a monument of guilt, sweat darkening the collar of his flannel. "She just ran out of nowhere," he said. "Didn't even have a chance." Riley knelt beside the mother. Her voice was soft but certain. "She's albino," she said. "A rare one, poor camouflage, wrong time, wrong place." Then she found the kittens. Three small lives clinging to warmth that was already fading. Two were moving, barely. The third was still. "This one's critical," she whispered, and placed all three in a heated box. "Thank you for staying," she told Frank. "You saved them," but Frank didn't feel like a savior. He just watched the van disappear down the mountain and wondered if forgiveness could ever be that simple. The drive to the wildlife hospital was a blur of sweat and prayer. Riley kept one hand on the wheel, one on the incubator, whispering to the trembling lives inside, "Hang on, little ones, just hang on." When she burst through the clinic doors, Dr. Helen Brooks was waiting. Her face carried the quiet exhaustion of someone who'd seen too much life slip through her fingers. Under harsh fluorescent light, the miracle turned clinical. The two that still breathed were hypothermic, their tiny chests rising and falling in desperate rhythm. The third, the smallest, had gone cold. Helen checked for a pulse. Nothing. She didn't make it. There was no time to mourn. The other two needed everything they had: subcutaneous fluids, sugar drops, oxygen through syringe casings. The air filled with quiet urgency, the rhythm of hope measured in heartbeats and hums. Hours passed. Two survived, a male and a female. They named them Ash and Willow. Ash, the louder one. Willow smaller, quieter, but with eyes that seemed to hold the storm of that morning. Days blurred into weeks. Every 2 hours, someone fed them with warmed milk, wrapped them in soft cloth, rubbed their bellies with damp cotton to help them live. It was fragile work, sacred work. Outside, the world was starting to notice. The center's director set up a live stream, the White Bobcat twins. Thousands tuned in. They watched them sleep, crawl, wrestle. They typed hearts in the comments, sent donations, called them miracles. But they didn't see the real fight, the sleepless nights, the whispered prayers, the trembling hands holding life on the edge of death. Then one morning, far away in a small cabin deep in the woods, a woman sipped her coffee and froze. Her name was Evelyn Hart. She was a legend among wildlife rehabbers, a solitary figure who spoke the language of predators better than people. On her old laptop screen, two white kittens tumbled through a den. Her hands began to shake. "It can't be," she whispered. She went to her filing cabinet, pulled out a folder, Ivory 2023. Inside, photos, x-rays, rehabilitation notes. A female albino bobcat she'd rescued the year before. Ivory, a hunter's trap had crushed her leg. Evelyn and Dr. Brooks had worked 6 long months to heal her. Wild, fierce, untamable, Ivory had fought every moment of captivity. Evelyn had released her back into the Jefferson wilderness with a lightweight GPS collar. It pinged for 24 hours, then went silent. Evelyn searched for weeks, walking until her knees bled. No tracks, no signal. She thought the forest had taken her back, but now, staring at the screen, she knew the truth. Ivory had lived. Ivory had become a mother. And Evelyn had sent her home, just in time. By dawn, her old pickup rumbled down the mountain toward the wildlife center. Riley and Dr. Brooks looked up in surprise when the door opened. Evelyn rarely left the woods. Without a word, she set the folder on the counter. I think I know who their mother was. The room fell silent. Dr. Brooks flipped through the photos, the resemblance undeniable. The location matched, 10 miles apart. We thought she was wild-born, Riley said quietly. She was, Evelyn answered, her voice firm. She just had my help for a while. She took a breath. Let me finish what she started. They hesitated. It wasn't protocol. But everyone in that room knew. No one understood bobcats like Evelyn Hart. What do you mean finish? Asked the director. I have her voice, Evelyn said. I have hours of footage, her sounds, her hunts. They're her children. They carry her instincts. I can use her memory to teach them, to let her raise them. It was unconventional, maybe even crazy, but they agreed. The live stream was turned off. A sign went up. The kittens are entering a critical wilding phase. Human contact will be limited. And so began Evelyn's silent work. She moved into the guest cabin beside the enclosure. Inside, she set up hidden speakers, a small screen behind a log, and a chute to deliver food unseen. She waited until the kittens were hidden, then played a sound. A soft, low chuff. Ivory's call. Two small heads appeared. Ash growled, Willow blinked, uncertain. Then came the smell of fresh meat from the chute. They ate. Evelyn repeated the ritual day after day. Chuff food, until one morning, the moment the sound played, both bobcats bolted from the den, ready to hunt. Evelyn's eyes filled. She's still here, she whispered. She's still teaching you. Weeks passed. The kittens grew lines strong. Evelyn played new sounds, the crunch of bone, the tearing of meat. She gave them pre-killed mice. At first, they pawed nervously. Then Ash pounced, clumsy but fierce. Willow watched and waited. When the moment came, she struck fast, perfect, silent, exactly like her mother. The public didn't see this part. All they saw was silence. No cuddles, no warmth, just two ghosts growing wild. Some people online called it cruel. They look lonely, they wrote. Why doesn't that old woman comfort them? Evelyn read those words one night and laughed without joy. They don't need my love, she whispered. They need hers, and they need to learn to be invisible. The hardest test came weeks later. Evelyn was checking the fence line when Willow appeared, full-grown now, her white fur glowing like frost. She approached slowly, eyes fixed on Evelyn, and then she chuffed. It was soft, uncertain, a question. Are you her? Evelyn's throat tightened. Every instinct screamed to answer, to reach out, but she stayed still. She did not move. She did not speak. She simply existed, silent, distant, unknown. Willow's eyes searched her face. Then, with a flick of her ear, she turned and vanished into the brush. Evelyn sank to her knees. It's done, she whispered. The lesson's complete. When spring came, it was time. The Jefferson forest was alive with birdsong and the shimmer of green leaves. Ash and Willow were ready, strong, silent, wild. They loaded the crates into the truck. No press, no cameras. Only Evelyn, Riley, and Dr. Brooks. They drove 2 hours into the wilderness, no roads, no fences, just open mountain. The crates were set down facing the thicket. Evelyn knelt beside them. Ash hissed, muscles tense. Good, she whispered, be brave. Then she turned to Willow. The female sat quiet, watching, those pale blue eyes, Ivory's eyes, locked onto her. Evelyn pressed her hand against the wire. Your mother was a queen, she whispered. She was the bravest wild heart I ever knew. I couldn't save her, but I saved you. Go live for her. They opened the doors. Ash was gone in an instant, a white flash swallowed by green. Willow stepped out slowly. She sniffed the air, listening to the mountain's breath. Then she turned. She looked straight at Evelyn. It wasn't gratitude, it wasn't love, it was understanding. A bridge between two worlds, a silent message that said, I know you, I know what you did. And I am wild, Evelyn nodded. Go home, girl. Willow leapt and was gone. The forest swallowed her without a sound. Only the whisper of leaves remained, the echo of a life reborn. The three women stood there for a long time, staring into the green. Do you think they'll be okay? Riley asked softly. Evelyn smiled, tired, peaceful. They have her blood, they have each other, they'll be more than okay. They'll be legends. She stayed until the wind shifted, until the woods fell silent again. Somewhere in the distance, a faint chuff carried through the trees. She closed her eyes. Rest easy, Ivory, she whispered. Your story didn't end on that road. It just began, and as the last light filtered through the forest, the world felt, for one fragile moment, perfectly whole, where love, loss, and freedom all lived together in the breath of the wild.